Plato's allegory of the cave. Plato was an ancient Greek philosopher who lived from around 428 BC to around 348 BC. He became a student of Socrates, but in 399 BC, Socrates was condemned to death for corrupting the young and not believing in the gods of the state. It is here where Plato is said to have become disillusioned with Athens, and so he left the city. He travelled widely, spending some time in southern Italy and Sicily before returning back to Athens in around 386 BC. Once returned to his home city, he founded the Academy and was its head until his death in 347 BC. Plato wrote the Republic in 380 BC. The book is a Socratic dialogue, which is a discussion of moral and philosophical problems between two or more characters that explores issues of justice, politics, education, and much more. The allegory of the cave is a particular story in the Republic and can be found from sections 514a to 517d. Firstly, an allegory is defined as a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. Plato begins, "Imagine an underground chamber, like a cave, with a long entrance open to the daylight and as wide as the cave. In this chamber are men who have been prisoners there since they were children, their legs and necks being so fastened that they can only look straight ahead of them and cannot turn their heads. Some way off, behind and higher up, a fire is burning, and between the fire and the prisoners and above them runs a road, in front of which a curtain wall has been built, like the screen at puppet shows between the operators and their audience, above which they show their puppets. Imagine further that there are men carrying all sorts of gear along behind the curtain wall, projecting above it, and including figures of men and animals made of wood and stone and all sorts of other materials. So we can see here that, to the cave dwellers, the shadows appear as the only true reality, but we know that the true form of the objects lies completely unknown to them, that is, until one of them escapes the cave. After escaping from the cave, the man's introduction to the upper world would be a painful one, as his eyes are not used to the natural light. He would need to grow accustomed to the light by first only looking at shadows, then reflections of objects in water, then the night sky. Then he could look directly at objects and see their true form, and finally he would be able to look directly at the sun itself. As the prisoner returns to tell his friends what he has seen, he will stumble down into the cave because he is no longer used to the darkness and the shadows. The cave dwellers will infer that the man's sight has been ruined by the upper world because of his apparent blindness upon re-entering the cave. The prisoners would therefore reach out and kill anyone who attempted to drag them out of the cave, for they think it will lead them to blindness, madness, and harm. The cave represents our environment of ignorance. That is, we are born ignorant and have to actively learn everything about the world as we grow up. We initially know nothing about true reality, but we can liberate ourselves and realise this through philosophy and other methods that we'll look at more later. Next, the shadows represent the things we assume to be true in life, but upon closer inspection are actually not true. From this, we can learn that it is essential that we question our assumptions, particularly those that we take for granted, as that will allow us to really find out what is true in life and what is just deception. The chains could represent our ignorance that makes us only look in certain directions and close our minds to all other perspectives, and hence we close our minds to the true nature of life. The puppeteers can symbolise many things. For example, they could represent politicians who try to make us see things in a particular way, and, along with the media, they can manipulate and alter the things that we see on the news. Also, this could allude to religious fundamentalism and how powerful it can be in controlling the way that the religion's followers see the world and the views that they take towards other human beings. Next, the cave dwellers may represent what human beings were like before philosophy. Also, as we saw earlier, when the prisoners condemned the man returning from the real world, the cave dwellers could represent the idea that society will always reject and be afraid of those who stand independent and are driven towards truth as opposed to ignorance. Finally, the escaped prisoner is a symbol of the philosopher who, when he returns with his newfound insights on the nature of reality, is condemned, alienated and denounced as crazy by society when he tries to educate the public on his new discoveries. A real-life example of this is when Socrates was sentenced to death in 399 BC. One of the key lessons to be learnt from the allegory is that there is a permanent tension between philosophy and society. This is because philosophy questions the very foundations of society and perhaps undermines the validity of some of their core and usually unquestioned beliefs. It is because of this that the philosopher poses a great threat to society. Another lesson is that we all start in the cave, but we don't have to stay there. Firstly, we must accept that man does not have immediate access to the truth, but he can choose the path of philosophy, self-actualization, reading, and many other methods in order to search for truth and free themselves from the metaphorical cave in which they were born. These methods force us to change our paradigms in order to see reality through a different and more pure and clear lens, or maybe even remove the lens altogether and see reality for what it truly is. Thank you for watching, and please leave a like and subscribe. See you next time on Feeling Philosophical, and goodbye.